at least this sort of woke thing summons or plugs you into something that is potentially meaningful, like there's a cause. I'm not just sort of going through the motions. Is that kind of what they're doing
I
here?
think so. The Selma envy, as I've called it in the
Yes.
past.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Weird. I was just thinking about this.
The Selma envy is, like, well, our generation missed the civil rights movement. This is our civil rights movement. If they can invest BLM or LGBT with that same sort of passion, they see themselves as being the successor to the civil rights movement, which is one of the finest moments of American history.
Specifically remembering that was me. When I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I had serious Selma envy. Like I had really thought that the great battles that we could sort of stand up and be righteous about had been sort of done. And I was sad in a weird, almost kind of nostalgic for something that wasn't even mine, but I was really prone to that narrative. So it's amazing to me that that Selma envy still exists in 2021.
Sure. I think what it is too is so many people today, they're divorced from each other, they're separated from their institutions, they're atomized, they're alienated, and they're desperate for something to give them meaning and solidarity and purpose.
Cue social media,
Right, right.
and we all just can do it performatively
Yeah.
from the comforts of our couch.
I remember when I was young, learning about the civil rights movement, learning about the marches on Selma and the bus boycotts, and thinking that I was denied the opportunity to be a part of some sort of civil rights struggle so that I could use my voice and stand up. And what I just want to note for all of you is that you are doing it. You are raising your voices, using your power. You are putting yourselves on the line in a very real way that even potentially threatens your safety, just like the protesters in the South in the early and mid 60s. You're all doing that today, right now, in your communities where it makes a big difference. And you deserve to be honored and respected because you are the voices and the faces of tens of, not hundreds of thousands. Well, I would say thousands of SUU students, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Utahns, and, millions of people around the United States and who knows how many around the world. So we all give a big old wave. And can I just tell you guys how much we love and thank and appreciate all of you for speaking up?
I read a story a little while ago. A woman who was in Sarajevo when the society collapsed. She was in the streets as a partisan fighter. She describes that time period, although she would never want to go back and suffer the hunger and the deprivation and the violence. She describes it as the happiest time of her life because she was fighting for a cause. She absolutely knew what her purpose was, and she was absolutely connected to the other people who were fighting with her. She was doing something that was full of meaning, and everything that she did, every amount of suffering she had purpose. So she was happy.
He did the sneaky supremacist trick. You guys don't represent the LGBT community. You represent LGBT activism.
Mhm.
The sneaky sleight of hand he does, and it's something that all supremacist ideologies do. Claim to represent Aryans. They don't. The Nation of Islam claims to represent African Americans. They don't. Feminists claim to represent women. They don't. The KKK claims to represent white people. They don't. La Raza claims to represent Mexicans. They don't. You can keep going on and on and on about this of people who claim to be representing the group. You don't. You don't represent gay people. You represent gay activism of a particular branch.
In repeated interviews, campaign events, and national keynote speeches at the Democratic conventions of both Maine and California, Biden told wild tales of how he marched, sat in, and boycotted during the civil rights movement, and even went so far as to suggest that he had traveled to Selma and Birmingham with such actions. But with his campaign in tatters, he finally said they were lies, they were all lies in September of 1987. So in 1987, he gets caught. He's telling all these lies about his activism. He gets caught and he finally admits that he actually wasn't that active. During the 1960s, I was in fact very concerned about the civil rights movement. I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else. I was a suburbanite kid who got a dose of exposure to what was happening to Black Americans.
You know, when I was a teenager in Delaware, for real, I got involved in the civil rights movement. I'd go to 8 o'clock mass, then I'd go to Reverend Herring's church where we'd meet. Notwithstanding what the other team is trying to hide, they're trying to hide the truth. No matter how hard some people try, we can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know. We should learn everything, the good, the bad, the truth of who we are as a nation. And everyone should know the truth of Selma.